The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight's guest is, he's the CEO of a sports entertainment company, and his channel is actually launching very soon, and his name is Max Vitelli. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
So, Max, Max is my father's name, so I really like that name. My dad's 105 years old, and his name is Max Bendich. So it's a great name. So how long have you been into entertainment?
Well, I got started in the sports entertainment company back when I was like 30 something. And somebody actually did it to me on a dare. What happened was, believe it or not, I was working in the financial field, and the same friend who came up to me and dared me to do stand-up comedy, I actually ran into him years later while I was in the financial markets. And he looked at me and says, wow, you're pretty successful. You're doing everything great. If you had to give it all up again, what would you do? So I turned around and said, you know what? If I was going to give it up again, what I would probably do is I would probably go into pro wrestling, because I love those guys. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, all those guys. They were like an inspiration to me. So he dared me to get into pro wrestling. So, of course, me never backing down from a challenge, that's exactly what I did. I left the financial world. I drove down to San Antonio, and I actually trained at the Sean Higginbottom School, which everybody knows is Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. Right. And instead of going like this way to Ohio Valley, I went this way to the Long Island Wrestling Federation in Queens.
Wow.
So, yeah. So if I had gone this way, this might have been a different, one ripple in time affects everything. So,
right.
So I wind up in Queens, wrestling for the Long Island Wrestling Federation under the name Max Mayhem. And after my 10th championship bout with my long hair, mustache, goatee, and earring, okay, I looked in the mirror, and it wasn't my blood, but it was the guy's blood all over my body. And I just said to myself, "What am I doing?" And I got out of the performance part, okay, and I said, "Let me become a promoter instead."
Right.
So about 10 years ago, I started Phoenix Productions and Phoenix Wrestling Federation. And now it's been a work in progress. It's been a labor of love, and I've had my ups and downs. But now we are just weeks away from launching our first ever sports entertainment streaming network.
That's exciting. That's really exciting. When I lived in Hollywood during the 1980s, and I was friends with a bunch of girls who started like female wrestling, but these were like gorgeous girls who were like trying to break into showbiz, and they'd be in like these short little outfits and all this stuff, and they were actually on TV. And I just remember one of them was someone who I worked with a lot as an extra when I first started getting into showbiz. And she came, I wish I could remember her name, but she became
Cheryl
pretty
Russo?
big.
Was her name Cheryl Russo?
I don't know. It was in Hollywood, so I'm not sure exactly. But it was crazy. I mean, you could tell that they weren't really wrestling, but they did get hurt, but they weren't as fine-tuned as some of the more professional. They were up there because they were gorgeous and they had great bodies and stuff like that.
I probably know the same girls you're talking about. Like I had a couple of them on last week from Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. So right. I probably know the ones you're talking about.
Yeah, and they had a good career. They went through it. But I guess to a certain extent, it gets to a point, like you said, with all the blood, and is this really how you want to wind up ending up at the end of the day, like bloody and all this other stuff?
Well, yeah, it wasn't my blood, so it was. So, but the thing was, it was just the work and the thing that I was putting my body through and it was just, and here I am in this rinky-dinky little place in Long Island. Not even Long Island; it was even Queens. And even though I had a fan base going, and the groupies, oh my God, the wrestling groupies were just crazy. It's weird, like just really. I'm not even getting. This is a PG show.
I lived in Hollywood, so I know all about stuff like that. I mean, I was.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
It's crazy. But I just thought to myself, I go, there's got to be a better way to do this.
Right.
So when I started Phoenix Productions, I had a little thing going for a little while called Thunder Kittens Wrestling. And again, I had gorgeous girls dressed up in glow-like outfits. But guess what? It was catching on. It was becoming successful.
Right.
It was doing really well. Unfortunately, some family incidents had happened. 2013, I was at my peak. 2014, I lost my dad, and kind of things like weren't too good for me. And I had to it took me a long time to get over that hurdle losing my father like that. And
Right.
a lot of people do go through something like that. So but now, like I said, because of everything going on in the world and
Right.
everybody is on pause, this is where I'm making my moves and I'm lining up all my eggs in one basket right now.
Well, that's great. I mean, so when do you launch?
That's a great question. Okay, I keep telling everybody that we're going to launch next month in September.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I think a safe bet would to say this fall of 2020. We have the websites. The websites is under construction.
Right.
We've got new female talent. You want to talk about gorgeous ladies? We've got new female talent that needs to be trained. So we've got trainers coming in. We've got a secluded location in New Jersey that we're going to be doing all the training. We're going to be doing all the content. We're going to be doing all the interviews and all the promos. So you'll be seeing clips, coming up very soon. But honestly, it's a lot of work. It really is. And getting to that launch date is going to be something because we're not just going to be featuring pro wrestling. All right, because what we're trying to do right now, and let's face it, the world is in apathy right now. We're trying to shake people out of their apathy right now. And to tell you the truth, a lot of people are really fed up with some of the prices that they're paying out there. People are paying, they're paying $15 for Netflix. They're paying $9.99 for CBS. They're paying all these, they're paying Amazon Prime. They're paying all these prices. And of course, let's face it, I'll go there. They're paying $10 a month for the WWE networks, which absolutely kind of like, what can I say, sucks right now. So okay, they've lost 300,000 of their viewerships. So we're coming in with a stellar price. We're going to be featuring pro wrestling, men and women's division. We're going to be featuring events, live events. Not live events, streaming events. I'm working with a theater company because we have access to a theater in Union City where we're going to be streaming live plays that we're going to be shooting as well too. We're going to be also doing cage fighting because we're talking to a cage fighting company. Yep, that is going to be using our venues, which we're going to be launching in 2021 because there are no public gatherings right now.
Right.
And we're going to have our own kind of like Netflix comedy or HBO comedy specials because we're lining up a bunch of talented comedians. And everybody's going to be able to watch us every month for only $3 a month for their first year.
And is it going to be one streaming channel?
One channel that's going to be formatted, okay, where you can watch all different channels. There's going to be, that's it. There's going to be a men's division that you can watch in wrestling, a women's division that you can watch. There's going to be the Thunder Zone. There's going to be the Satin Angels channels as well too. That's the Pillow Fight channel. We'll get into that later. But anyway, what I'm saying, it's just a different variety of channels that they're going to watch for $3 a month. And Roku is already telling us, they're giving us a setup fee so we could actually have our channel on Roku, and we're going to be putting us in front of 59 million subscribers.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, that sounds great.
Throw enough wet toilet paper against the wall, see what sticks.
Right. Well, that's great. It's good to. I mean, it sounds like a very good venture. Do you have people interested in supporting it? Or how much is it going to cost again?
It's only going to cost $3 a month for the first year. So monthly subscription is $3 a month.
Right.
Their second year, they're going to be paying $5 a month. Okay.
Is there going to be Are there going to be sponsors also?
Do you know any?
I'm still trying to get stuff for my shows to be sponsored. Right.
Yeah, so try to get a sponsor. It's like
Yeah, it's a tough biz. Are you going to be using mostly New York or metropolitan talent, or is it going to be national?
It's the talent on the indie scene and the pro ring scene is going to be from all over the country, and I'm leaving that up to my NXT superstar. Can't say who it is because he'll kill me. So I can't. Okay, but he's going to be booking most of that talent. But the new talent, the ladies, which everybody is excited about seeing these new raw talents, that haven't even been touched by the indie scene. Okay, they're all from the tri-state area.
Are you going to have like medical personnel on? I mean, like, I'm nervous about stuff like this. I got to tell you, man. I mean, I've seen shows where they have people who are wrestlers that, they actually really get hurt. I mean, there's people who actually get injured. Will there be
anybody who turns around? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm fine. Anybody? I got water. Don't worry.
Good. Drink.
Yes, I've got plenty of a sense. Mom, I'm fine. I got plenty of water, Mom. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Anybody who gets involved in this industry and they turn around and they tell me, oh, wrestling is fake, they're going to get one of these, because it is not fake, okay? It is predetermined, but it's not fake, okay? I don't call these guys wrestlers. I don't call these girls wrestlers. I call them performers, because they are putting on a performance for the audience.
Absolutely.
That's why the audience are going, ooh, ah, ooh. It's a performance, okay? But turning around and saying that they don't get hurt, they know what they're doing, but yeah, it's gonna sting after you get out of that ring. But knowing that the crowd is applauding you, knowing that the crowd is like, you know, you shock the crowd and you put the crowd over, you know you've done your job, all right? And I did that. Believe me, I did that. I did a match one time with this guy. His name was Atlas. He looked like a bald black Mr. Clean guy, and we were in the back, and he's like, guys, he goes, we're not, you know, you guys are going to just, you know, you guys are going to give each other audibles all night, and you guys are going to just put on a match, and then you guys decide who's going to win. So I looked at him. His real name was Orville. So I said, Orville? Yeah, man. I'm like, we're going to get hurt. He goes, yeah. I go, you still love me? He goes, of course I do. I go, you going to give me a hug? So here's this big guy giving me a hug in the background. And it's like, because we got to take care of each other in there. We really do. Otherwise, and we got to trust each other. If you don't trust your opponent, or if you don't trust the guy you're performing with, then yeah, something's going to happen. You're going to stiffen up. And that's where I've seen a lot of bad injuries happen.
But when you have like the cage fighting, that's different, right? I mean, or is that
cage fighting? Now that stuff, that's real. That's real MMA, UFC style cage fighting. And it's another very popular company in Long Island. I'm not going to say who it is because I'm under an NDA with them. But they have over 35,000 followers on their Twitter and their Instagram, and they've done over 35 shows already through the country. I mean, I felt bad for him, because as I was talking to him, he told me that he had $50,000 in ticket sales already sold for his next 2 shows.
That is so awesome.
And then March 16th hits, and then that's it. It's done. You know, he couldn't do anything. So, you know, I was actually home March 16th because the beginning of March, I was still traveling back and forth to Manhattan. And then when I saw these cruise ships coming in, and they saying like, oh, people are sick on this cruise ship, and people from the airport are sick. And I'm like, yeah, I'm staying home. Bye.
Yeah, I'm working from home too for my real gig, which is also into finance. And I remember March 15th and 16th was that was the last time I was in the office.
Oh, yeah.
Scary it's an interesting thing. I did a show with Anthony Bourdain's wife, who was actually one of the producers, and she was an ultimate fighter. And I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she get in the ring, and I mean, that was one of the things. She was unbelievable, actually. You should check her out. But
really?
Yeah.
Who was she?
I can't think of what her first name. Octavia Bourdain is her name.
Octavia, yes, I'm very familiar. Oh, I know exactly who she is. Octavia Bourdain, yes.
Right.
I know exactly who she is.
So, and she was the only fighter I knew, only ultimate fighter I knew. But she was, she did some, you know, she was, it's obviously very sad what happened to her husband, but it's.
That's tragic. That's not even sad. It's tragic what happened. It is.
So, how did you get into this line of work? I mean, what brought you into this life?
Oh wow, that's an interesting story. You're asking real good ones here. Okay. All right. I guess first of all, what happened was, it really goes back, believe it or not, to when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And my dad wasn't around a lot. He was a career waiter. And of course, my father liked to hang out after work because he made a lot of money as a waiter. And back in the 1970s, what he made, it's worth 10 times as much now.
I was a waiter in the 70s too, by the way, and in the 80s I was a bartender. So,
oh, really?
So I know, that was my lifestyle. Yeah.
Well, like I said, he was a career waiter until he couldn't work anymore. I mean, he worked in restaurants. He even owned a restaurant, but because my father had this whole compulsion about gambling, that was,
Unfortunately, that goes hand in hand. When you have that money in your hand, those tips, and you got a stack of bills, especially, I used to bartend in Hollywood. You get a stack of bills like this, about $500-600. And they had poker casinos in Hollywood. I just used to go straight from work at 3 o'clock in the morning to the poker casinos. And
that was the lifestyle. It'd be like, hey, you want to come? We're gonna go down to. No, I shouldn't go. Oh, come on, go. Oh, Gina's gonna be there. Oh, Gina's gonna be there. Yeah, let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's go see Gina.
I know all about it, right?
Yeah. You know Gina. Okay.
No. I mean, I know all about That lifestyle. That's
That
what I'm saying.
lifestyle, yeah. And I almost seeped into that lifestyle. But getting back to it, when I was 6 years old, my father wasn't around, so I used to always hang. I was a real mama's boy. Yeah, okay, I'll say it. I was a mama's
That's okay.
boy.
That's nothing wrong with that. You know.
Yeah, it is. But no, but so my mom and sister took me everywhere with them. They took me to the stores. They took me to the shop with them.
That's great.
That's how I learned all about women's clothing at such an early age. So anyway, so they took me to a movie called Cabaret with Liza Minnelli.
Right.
Okay, so here I am, a 6-year-old kid. All of a sudden, there's the mud wrestling scene in Cabaret with these things,
Right.
and all of a sudden, I'm just like, wow, what's that? And I'm like galvanized at that moment right there.
Yeah.
And then what happened? And then growing up, it's like, I want to see what, of course we didn't have internet back then. It's like, oh my God, you didn't have internet back then? What'd you guys do? We rode around in dinosaurs. Yeah. Anyway, so of course the wrestling magazines would come out, and the wrestling magazines had the girls in the bikinis with the apartment wrestling. So I was grabbing that. And then I saw, there was a Telemundo, channel 47. That's the UFH station. UFH, what's that? Yeah. Nobody knows that either. Okay. You know what I'm talking about.
I
though,
do.
okay?
I do.
Yeah, but these millennials don't know anything about
I remember.
that.
I remember.
Exactly. So channel 41, channel 47, and
Right.
12 o'clock midnight on channel 9.
I know.
When it was only 2, 4, and 7. And
I
it's like,
know.
well, who watches channel 9? Only for the news. Well, who watches channel 11? Only for the Magic Garden and Kukla, Fran, and Ali and all that stuff. It's like, and now we got thousands and thousands of channels out there.
Unbelievable.
But,
right.
Unbelievable. Yeah, the times have changed so much.
Right.
And it's like, so I would grab all of that. And then finally, I was in college, and they come out with this thing called Glow back in 1985.
That's what I'm talking about, was Glow. Those are the girls that I was talking about.
You're talking about Jeannie Besson, who played Hollywood.
I don't know. It was a blonde chick. I can't think of what her name was. That's the problem. It was.
There was Sally, the farmer's daughter. She just passed away a couple of weeks ago from cancer. There was.
But it was Glow. That's what it was. It was Glow.
Yeah.
Because it was in the 80s. When I was in Hollywood. Right.
Yeah, I was friends with all the Glow girls. I'm friends.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, no. I interviewed Lightning and Royal Hawaiian last week. Thunder keeps in touch with me. Jean Besson. Well, Jean's selling soaps right now. Hollywood's selling soaps right now, so she's trying to build up that business as well. But yeah, I'm also friends with Roxy Astor. So yeah, I know a bunch of them now. Yeah, right. I do. So, but anyway, I saw this show back then, and some of it was okay, some of it was all right, and a lot of it was like cheesy. But I said to myself, all right, and I made a promise to myself right there. I said, if I don't become a CPA, because I was studying accounting, boring. But anyway, all right. And then I was going to get into finance, and then I found out that college was boring. Okay, so anyway, college just wasn't me. But I said to myself, if I don't find my niche, what I'm going to do one day is I'm going to make female wrestling videos. I'm going to get into the wrestling business.
Right.
Okay. And then, like I said, one thing led to another, and then just poof. One day I said, you know what? I'm going to freaking try it. And that was it. That was back in 2007. And 2007, I kind of said 2009, I got it started. That's when I started production. Right. And it's been a crazy ride ever since. It really has. Crazy ride.
I was in a movie back in Hollywood where they had mud wrestling in it. It was called My Tutor, and it had Kristen Glover in, the guy that played Back to the Future's dad. It was interesting, just even seeing that it was so messy, but it was also, there was a sexiness attached to mud wrestling back then. So
of course,
the whole thing, I mean, it's so physical. I mean, obviously wrestling is a physical thing. It's something that people just enjoy watching. Bodies clashing against bodies, all this stuff. It just does something to you that's beyond the fighting aspect of it, I would say.
It certainly does.
It's interesting.
Does. Yeah,
and kids love it.
Having a 300-pound guy clash against me, it kind of stings after a while. It really did.
But the crowds go nuts, right? I mean, the crowds go crazy.
The crowds always go nuts, especially when we got crazy. We started picking up like weapons. Like I mean, that match that I had with this guy, I must have got hit with a chair like 12 times that night.
How do you stop yourself from getting hurt by that? I mean,
you don't, you don't stop yourself from getting hurt. It just stings.
You just got to take it. You got to take it.
But there's a way to do it where you can hit them, and it's that sound. But even that stuff, it's like this kind of whipping on you, like that kind of whipping.
But it's also a table or a chair or something like that.
Yeah, but it's like, to me, it was like, okay, just your mom's throwing you a beat. Just think of yourself as that 10-year-old kid that came home late. She grabbed the shoe and she started whacking it. Just that's put yourself in that mindset.
All right. So, what does the future hold for you? I mean, like, you're starting now. I know it's like the next step is a big step. This is probably one of the biggest steps in your life in showbiz, right? Would you say?
This is what I like to call a focal point in my life, and we all come across them. You ever have that moment in history or that moment in your life? All of a sudden, you've got two decisions in front of you. Okay, right. And then all of a sudden, you're trying to say, well, if I do this, this will happen. Well, if I do this, that'll happen. And all of a sudden, somehow you feel it, and I can't describe it. Time actually stands still for a second. But just a second, that moment, that focal point right there, knowing it's like, well, if I did, that's that highway in life that it's going to divide, because it's two alternate realities. It's two different universes.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Exactly, and then all of a sudden, I felt the same way, and all two of my marriages. It's like, should I or shouldn't I?
But it's funny. My dad used to say, when I was a little boy, my father was a laundryman. He's 105 years old. He's still alive. But I used to sit next to him. That's it. I used to sit next to him, and he used to tell me a story about like a little boy going, and he comes to a fork in the road, and you got to go, and you have to make. And it was always a decision about what happens if you one way or the other. And he would always talk about the fork that brought him to a life that was very fascinating and all this other stuff. And it is in life. That's the whole thing. Is you got to make a decision all the time. You're always faced with at least going this way or that way. And if you go this way, your life goes one way, and if you go this way, your life goes one way. So it is interesting. Being an accountant, I am an accountant. That's the other thing I do in my life, and it is boring. But if it wasn't for acting,
I didn't mean.
No, you didn't do anything, because I have this show.
Yeah, I find it is boring.
I'm an actor, and I do films, feature films, all kinds of stuff. So I have my hobbies. I'm also 65 years old. So at this point, oops, I lost you.
I'm here. I'm back.
Okay, there you are. At 65 years old. I'm sorry, 65 years old. To be able to do everything I want to do and not worry about, even if I was to lose my job right now, it would probably be a blessing, because then I could just do all the showbiz I want.
But that's the thing you got to focus on right now. The thing that you got to focus on is this. This is not what you want to do. When you grew up and everything, you didn't say, hey, I'm going to be an accountant. You didn't do anything like that. Did you imagine yourself everybody dressed up as cowboys, and everybody dressed up as ballerinas? I mean, what the hell did you do? You dressed up at 6 years old and free carrying on an attaché?
With a pocket protector in my
You got whacked for a pocket protector. That's for sure. Okay.
That's
for sure. But even so, you didn't think of yourself being an accountant, okay? No. I didn't think of myself doing this thing with Phoenix Entertainment, okay? Right. I know my life would be a lot more boring if I wasn't doing Phoenix Entertainment, if I wasn't doing something that I truly aspire to love. But unfortunately, without one thing, you can't do the other thing. Because
how many people you got signed up for? How many people do you have in total signed up?
Right now, we've got about 100 subscribers right now that they have pre-signed up for.
That's fantastic.
Well, so far. It's.
No, but I'm also saying, but how many people do you have signed up for on the entertainment side? Like ready to go.
How many talents do I have?
That's what I'm saying. How much talent? Okay. How many talents?
Let's go to the videotape right now over here. 1, 2, 3, 6. We've got 12 talents, 12 girl talents.
Wow.
Okay, that I recruited all on my own, that I did and I've got about another half dozen pending right now. But as far as like the independent scene, like the guys and the girls that are in the ring, I'm leaving that to my NXT guy, because I'm not getting involved in that. Right. Let him manage that. Another reason how you become successful is you got to delegate responsibility.
No question. You are absolutely right. That's the most important thing. You can't do everything yourself, because if you do it, you're going to screw it up. I almost said it with F word, but you might screw it up. Well, and you'll go crazy.
PG show, I won't use the F word. But here's the thing. When I lost my last job and I was going to do the whole thing with the Thunder stuff, my wife at the time said, if you're going to do this, focus on this and just this.
Right.
That's what she told me. So I was the one on the social media. I was the one, they didn't have Instagram back then, but I was the one joining all the groups. I was the one marketing this stuff. I was the one choreographing this stuff. I was the one shooting this stuff. I was the one putting the storylines together. I did all of this. And I'll be honest with you, 2013 was my best year. I made over 100 grand doing it.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, that just me with,
Right.
with this keyboard.
I know, unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. What if I had delegated responsibilities back then? What if I had people that I could count on back then to take some of the workload off of me? I might have made more. I might have made 200 grand. I might have made 300 grand. Okay.
Because then you can concentrate on the creative versus all this other crap. Right.
Exactly, the creative, as far as the other crap goes. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm not answering North Carolina now. I'm sorry. No, I'm not doing it. Okay. Now they call. They have all week to call me. Now they call. Okay.
Well, they knew you were on TV, so it's.
Well, yeah. They could see me tomorrow night too. But as far as, like I said, if you don't delegate responsibilities, all right.
Right.
And focus on what you're good on. Because right now I need to focus on getting the content together, getting the storyline together. Nobody could put that together better than me. Okay. And since this is my dream, and since this is my project, okay, no one's going to finance this, you know, over a business plan. Okay. Now, my brother, who happens to be in Hollywood and a doctor, he did hand my business plan out to a bunch of Hollywood bigwigs. A lot of them love the idea, but right now Hollywood is on hold. Hollywood is on a complete hold. They're not even launching any Marvel movies, any Disney movies. So Hollywood is on complete hold right now.
Right.
So the only person who's going to make this work is me. Okay. So when I take my Tony Stark, my Bruce Wayne thing off, okay, and I have to become Max during the day, what am I doing? I'm still in finance during the day, and I'm working with a couple of distributors trying to get PPE sold to hospitals.
Sorry about that phone in the background, by the way. I can't. There's nothing I can do about it.
I got my phones in the background too. Don't worry about it. Okay. So that's what, because no one else is going to finance this project. No one else is going to believe in this project more than yourself.
Right. Okay. So I got to ask you a quick question.
Yes.
So if people wanted to join you, or, you know, if people are interested, if females wanted to come over and work with you, could you give us your information and we'll put it on the credits?
Absolutely. I'll put it on the credits. Okay. So
you could say it now, but how would they get in touch with you?
Okay. How will you get in touch? Okay. First of all, you could reach me on Facebook, Max Vitelli on Facebook. Okay. Right. Or you can get me on Instagram, which is Phoenix, as in Phoenix, Arizona, .ent. That's like ear, nose, throat. ENT. .LLC.
Okay, that's good. And we'll actually have it underneath, and we'll have it in the credits. So, you know, it was great having you on the show, and I can't believe, usually when shows go this quickly, that means that it went really well. But unfortunately, there's just one thing left to say.
What's that?
That's a wrap. Good night, folks.